I think Mauro Ranallo put it best tonight when he said TakeOver War Games is going to make this a November to remember for NXT. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your November 1st NXT review. And before we even get into the house cleaning, I gotta give you guys a little bit of a heads up. I'm kind of in a shitty mood tonight, so this video might suck. Halloween kind of sucked for me this year. I hope it was a lot better for you guys. Halloween, for those of you that don't know, is my favorite holiday of the year, and it was just blah this year. Everybody, as we get closer to the Christmas season, they get those moods where, you know, we're all too busy, we're all hustling and bustling around. Oh my God, it doesn't even feel like Christmas. That was me this year for Halloween, which is kind of a bummer because it is one of the highlights of my year. So that's that. We have the release of Emma, which is probably one of the stupidest moves WWE has made in a long, long while. Couple that with the absolutely retarded comments from one Lio Rush. Those two issues I'm going to be talking about in another video at a later date. Most of us know about the unfortunate incidences in New York, Manhattan, the shooting drive-by scenario down there that's absolutely terrible, coupled with, if you live closer to my neck of the woods, you know that in the GTA on our 400 series highway there was a massive tanker-on-tanker, several-car pile-up, big explosion thing that took out a couple lives there as well, which is also pretty damn terrible. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing it to the shooting in Manhattan. That's just some fucked up shit. But it's just, you know, you get bombarded with all of this shit. Halloween sucked. You know, one of your top, you know, one of the more prevalent reasons that I watch women's wrestling these days is the fact that I thought Emma was finally getting a push. Not only do they let her go, some wingnut who's got some notoriety from the indies goes and shoots his mouth off, and he's had a grand total of 1 match in NXT. So until further notice, fuck Lio Rush. And then you got all these other things going on in the world that are much, much bigger than wrestling, and I'm tired, and I don't feel good, and it's ridiculous o'clock in the morning, so Cranky Spaz is cranky. I'm done moaning and complaining. Now we get into the housekeeping now, where I turn around and tell you, my cranky ass tells you, that you should come and participate in the Q&A. The last Ask the Phoenix Q&A will be the week after Survivor Series. Up in the notation below is the last Q&A. You want to add your questions to the Q&A, go to the last Q&A, put it in the description box below. I know for a fact that some people have already put some questions in that comment section, excuse me. Thank you for that. And I've looked over a couple of them. They look like they're going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of Survivor Series, you know that we're going to be doing a pay-per-view pick 'em for Survivor Series, for TakeOver, and yes, I can now say it, War Games. So please, start getting your picks ready. I know it's really weird for Survivor Series because all the picks are just this champion versus this champion versus this champion. Where are they going to give Raw the advantage? Where are they going to give SmackDown the advantage? But start thinking about your picks, because we will be doing the pick 'em at some point, and there will be two. There will be a pick 'em for TakeOver War Games. There will be a pick 'em for Survivor Series. So start thinking about that now. Get them ready. That pay-per-view pick 'em, that tackle is coming. Fuck, I can't talk tonight. The Q&A will be coming the following week. Get your shit in for that as well. I know all the usual suspects. I'm looking in all of your directions. You guys never disappoint me on that regard. So let's talk about, while I'm in my shitty mood, a pretty damn decent episode of NXT. As I say, we start off the show with Mauro Ranallo welcoming us to NXT, and the fact that it is November 1st, you know, all the NXT stars are hoping to make it a November to remember. And as cliche as that is, it's just the kind of wrestling trope that I needed to hear from a guy like Mauro Ranallo tonight. It made me smile right off the bat. What made me smile even more was the actual conclusive announcement that we are going to get Drew McIntyre versus Andrade Cien Almas, which you guys that have been watching me for a long time know that I've really gone up and down on Andrade Cien Almas. When he came in and he was the, you know, the happy, hyper, you know, a lot of people called him Mr. Strippergram because that's basically the deal that he was doing. And then he transitioned into another role where he was basically like this pretty boy who was a wrestler that didn't give a shit about wrestling. And that didn't get over with me too well, as you all recall. Now, I mean, it's pretty cut and paste to say, okay, now I've got a manager, now I'm suddenly motivated. But Zelina Vega's alright, and the head scissor that she did on, who was it, Roderick Strong last week made me smile a whole goddamn lot. Plus, I saw the NXT house show at hashtag NXT Toronto about a month and a half ago now, and this was one of the main events, and it is a good match. So if it's half as good as it was when I saw it on the house show, then we'll be in for a treat. We get the announcement that it has been confirmed. We're going to get a contract signing later on that night. We start off the night with the NXT debut of Taynara Conti, which is all good. I mean, she's from the Mae Young Classic. We're trying to integrate some of them that were in that into the NXT roster, which is fine, until I see that her opponent is Nikki Cross, and a big smile just goes across my face. Now, I do know, I did read the spoilers of the announcement that we're going to get at the end of the night, as I've called it for weeks and weeks and weeks, the worst kept secret in NXT dirt sheet history. But I didn't read the spoilers for the rest of the show, so I didn't know that that was a thing. So I thought, oh, Taynara Conti, she's going to make her in-ring debut tonight. Wonder how they're going to do that. They played her off as basically a chicken shit when she fucked with Nikki Cross. And then I saw that Nikki Cross was her opponent, and that goes the way it goes. Nice little touch. Because the four-way is coming up, and because Nikki Cross is in the four-way, they had the podium. If you remember when they did the Battle Royal, the entire time the Battle Royal was going on, they had the Women's Championship on the podium, sort of a visual symbol of, okay, this is what they're all fighting for. They had that out there again tonight, and Nikki Cross, in her crazy, you know, whatever you want to call it, state, she does stand at the top of that ramp for a good long while and almost touch the belt. And the commentators really kicked in there. You know, you want to think about superstitions. You know, athletes, they don't want to touch the trophy until it's theirs. It could be a jinx, whatever. And, you know, combine that with Nikki Cross being crazy. It was a good little explanation, but running crossbody and punches from the mount to start for Nikki Cross. She traps her in the apron and beats her down some more. There's a boot by Conte, who follows it up with a takedown and then works the arm. But Nikki Cross comes back with a double shot to the throat, a few running lariats, a snake eyes, puts her in a tree of woe, mudhole stomps her while she's upside down, hits a suspension inverted DDT, which Mauro Ranallo actually called a stinger, or a scorpion deathlock, which made me laugh. Finishes her off with the Fisherwoman's neckbreaker, and Nikki Cross gets the win. Now, they would have been really good to have at least one of the other competitors in that match. I mean, it wouldn't be Kairi Sane, because she's a babyface. It wouldn't be Ember Moon, because she's a babyface. So by default, it would have had to be Peyton Royce. Now, you want to have Nikki Cross have this win. You want to start some tension between those four competitors. Have her get beat down by the Iconic Duo after the match. I'm saying this as a Nikki Cross fan. That would have been really cool. Build her up and build some tension between the opponents, because right now we're working towards the title debut of Kairi Sane, Ember Moon, who's still booked like she's inevitable, and the other two that are just going to be in the match. And you gotta have more than that. Even though I'm sure this match is going to be amazing, I'd much rather have Ruby Riott in there than Peyton Royce. That's just me. But they missed an opportunity to do something really cool there. But a nice victory for Nikki Cross sort of buttons up that story with Taynara Conti. I mean, she was with the ROH boys for a hot second, and that was about it. Great match, great way to start off the show. Taynara Conti looks decent. I mean, even though she was being ragdolled for like 90% of the match, but what she did do was okay. She didn't look like she was scared shitless. She came out kissing her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, which I guess, I don't know if it's legit. Somebody in the box down below can tell me if she is actually a legit black belt, but at least in her character, she's holding it up sort of symbolically and showing respect to the belt as she takes it off, which is all good, but it makes me wonder why, like, 2 weeks ago, they were booking her like the biggest bullshit, you know, chicken shit heel that you could ever possibly imagine. Is a little bit of discongruency there, but I can forgive it because it's alright. And then you got Mercedes Martinez, who's pissed that she lost the Battle Royal, and for some random reason she calls out Ember Moon. And that's nice. Next match, Fabian Eichner versus Johnny Gargano. And once again, you've got a match with a guy that I'm reasonably, like the first match, you got somebody that I'm reasonably impressed with in Fabian Eichner versus somebody that my fandom and bias is completely behind, like Johnny Gargano. So you figure this is going to be a great match. Fabian Eichner is good. They're calling him, what are they calling him? The high-flying heavyweight, because he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, and then he went and bulked up after he lost. So I don't know. He's got that RVD type of vibe in him, in the sense that he's definitely not a cruiserweight, but he can definitely move like one, and it's really impressive. But I can't get over the fact that I'm a huge fan of Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano, I said it on Twitter, with the bullshit that Lio Rush pulled, the only thing WWE should do right now, turn that guy, you know, with the backlash that he got in the locker room, with the backlash that he got on social media from all of us that are like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Turn him heel, keep him cocky like that, keep him that guy over there making smart-ass remarks that thinks he's funny, turn him heel, put him up against the pure Snow White babyface in Johnny Gargano, let Gargano get a win over this guy, because Johnny Gargano, especially after tonight, needs a fucking win. Let's talk about it. Collar elbow tie up and an armbar by Fabian, reversed by Gargano. Front face lock by Gargano, a head scissor and a dropkick. Power slam by Fabian, and a snake eyes on the rail on the outside, which is nasty. Bear hug by Fabian, back elbow by Gargano, a series of strikes and a slingshot spear by Gargano. Love the slingshot spear, you guys know that. Front suplex by Fabian and a slingshot DDT by Gargano. Just, you know, he knows I like the slingshot spear, so he thought he'd change it up a little bit. Give me the slingshot DDT and it's all good. Boot by Gargano, backbreaker by Fabian, and Fabian picks up Gargano. And in this point, you know, there's me with the clipboard, the Doomy clipboard of doom that's still here, doing my notes, watching the match, maybe rewind it here and there if I missed something, watch the match, take some notes, watch the match, take some notes, and then there's moments where you just put the clipboard and be like, what the fuck was that? He picks up Johnny Gargano. Now, granted, Eichner is a lot bigger than Gargano, so a powerbomb is going to look impressive with that size disparity like that. He picks him up, and he picks him up like he's a fucking teddy bear, and drops him to the mat like a wet fucking towel, and it was scary to watch. I don't even think they replayed it at the end of the match. They went through a bunch of other shit at the end of the match, but they didn't replay this powerbomb because it looked nasty, and a big part of that goes to Gargano for selling it as well, but I've got in capital letters the disgusting powerbomb by Fabian Eichner. They trade some punches. There's a backbreaker by Fabian, a running corner enziguri by Gargano. He goes for the Gargano escape. There's a lot of back and forth, quick chain wrestling sequence, and a quick roll-up for Fabian, and Fabian Eichner gets the win. Now, I'm happy for Fabian, and I'm happy that they're so confident in Gargano that they know he can sustain a loss like this and still have the following that he has. And that's absolutely true. But Gargano needs something. They did the story with him and Ciampa. Which should have been a story for him for the next 3 months. But they both got hurt. Ciampa's still hurt. Gargano needs something to do. He needs to not be in the Dolph Ziggler role where he's just so fucking good that he can put everybody else over. Because that shit is going to wear thin. I know. When we buried Daniel Bryan, WWE told you a nice little fairy tale about how they listened to what you had to say and how they actually give a shit about what you thought, and they put him in a match at WrestleMania, and you did it all by yourselves. The fans did it. You guys, don't you feel better about yourselves? It's a nice little story that they told you, but legit, they put Gargano in this spot, and he's gonna be the Ziggler, and that sucks, because who was the last Ziggler of NXT? That was Tyler Breeze, and look what Tyler Breeze is doing right now. Tyler Breeze should be a hell of a lot farther up than what he's doing right now, but then again, that is the WWE main roster, and they do shit like Fire Emma. Anyways, we see a video package on Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black for TakeOver WarGames. It doesn't make me care about the match at all. Velveteen Dream can still fuck off. What the fuck is his name? Aleister, I was going to call him Alexander Black. Yep. That's the kind of day I'm having. Aleister Black deserves a better opponent. Velveteen Dream can fuck the fuck off. And we move on. We have a backstage segment, or not a backstage segment, but a parking lot segment, which just made me love the Street Profits, because it was the Street Profits telling off Jobberelli and Gimmick Lost, who can get the fuck off my TV. We're supposed to have the contract signing. We see Drew McIntyre in the back with William Regal, and they do sort of one of those with the lower third on the bottom of the TV that says right after the break. But you see Drew McIntyre signing the contract in Regal's office. So you're like, something different's going to happen here. It's not going to be the typical let's set up a table, 2 microphones, everybody's going to talk shit about everybody, whatever. Back from the break, McIntyre's making his entrance. He gets dropped by Andrade Cien Almas, gets the shit beat out of him. Andrade Cien Almas grabs the contract, signs it, takes the gum out of Zelina Vega's mouth and sticks the contract to the fallen Drew McIntyre with the gum. And I just said on Twitter, in less than 5 seconds, that was probably the best contract signing WWE's ever done. As I said, with all my mixed feelings on Andrade Cien Almas included, that was really, really cool. I like how they did that. It was different. It wasn't what you expect. It wasn't, I'm gonna beat you. No, I'm gonna beat you. No, I'm gonna beat you. And then the commissioner says, well, they're gonna fight at the pay-per-view, and then somebody goes through a table and we go to the next segment. It wasn't that. It didn't even get to be that. It was one of those, almost like Almas was standing there in the back saying, yeah, we're not gonna do a bullshit regular contract signing. I'm just gonna go jump him now, because it makes sense. I'm not gonna lie, I got the WWE 2K18, and one of the things I love, I mean, it forced me to finally get a PS4 for one thing, but I love the whole you can jump somebody during their entrance on the game. Now, I don't know if you can do that in previous games on the PS4 versions of the previous games, because I don't have the PS4 versions of the previous games, but I like that. It's a good little thing that I take advantage of just about every match I'm in. That's entirely besides the point, isn't it? We get an announcement that next week Kairi Sane is going to be taking on Billie Kay, because in the back, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce were making fun of her pirate gimmick, and then she came with the steering wheel thing, and it's weird, but I guess it's cool. Kairi Sane's going to squash Billie Kay next week, is what we gathered from that segment. SAnitY versus the Authors of Pain for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Now, it was announced last week that Authors of Pain were going to be getting their rematch, and nobody was going to be at ringside, so I think for the most part, Paul Ellering wasn't not at ringside. I wasn't really paying attention, but the commentators did point it out at one point, and William Regal had said whatever member of SAnitY was not defending the tag team titles would not be involved in the match either, because they are, much like New Day, defending under Freebird rules, which is cool, but the more teams that they let defend the titles under Freebird rule, the more voice it gives to the people out there that want a 6-man tag team championship. Now, I don't necessarily think we need a 6-man tag team championship. If you want to have people defending it under Freebird rules, when you've got something like the New Day, when you've got something like SAnitY, etc. I just hope they don't use it too much, and I hope they don't use it with the main event talent. And by that, I directly mean I hope they don't use the Freebird rule for the Shield, because I can't put my finger on it, but it is main roster. It is WWE main roster, and I can picture them fucking that shit up real good, real fast. Or should I say, real good, and the person that is for knows that it's for them. SAnitY versus the Authors of Pain, and here we go. Young and Razor, collar and elbow tie up as we start. Running right hand by Young, knees by Razor, forearm by Young, double team by SAnitY, corner spears. My writing says corner spear in the corner by Young, because I'm redundant like that. Boot by Wolf and a Death Valley driver into the corner by... The Death Valley driver into the corner by Razor was kind of brutal, too. I'm talking about the powerbomb in the previous match, but that was another one that was just sort of... got you to take notice type of thing. Boots by Akam and a single punch knockdown. They trade some more punches, and there's a corner choke by Akam. Front face lock by Razor. Double team by the Authors of Pain. Double boot between Wolf and Razor. Akam and Young trade punches for a while, and there's a neckbreaker by Young. Eric Young in this match, holding his own with two guys the size of the Authors of Pain, does make me smile, I'm not gonna lie. German suplex by the German and a top rope elbow by Young. Back elbow by Young and a top rope lariat by Wolf. Now, again, Alexander Wolf going to the top rope is not only is it fun because he's the bigger member of the team, but he's also crazy, isn't he? I mean, you look at the team, you've got they got the one crazy female in Nikki Cross. They've got Eric Young, who's the leader. They got Killian Dane, who's the monster. The one who gets forgotten in the mix is Alexander Wolf, but he's a fun guy to watch. He's not bad in the ring, and he's fucking crazy. I'm getting a better appreciation for him as time goes on. Back elbow by Young and a top rope lariat by Wolf. Back suplex neckbreaker combination by SAnitY. Boot by Akam. Super collider. Last chapter. And they're going to be the new tag team champions, except no, they're not, because out come the ROH boys who beat down literally fucking everybody. Killian Dane comes out, and he gets taken out in short order, 3-on-1. Out comes Roderick Strong. to stare down the ROH boys. He's got the friggin' armband thing that he was given last week or whatever. And he says, let's do it. He puts on the armband. He says, we're going to get him. We're going to beat him down 4-on-1. And then he takes on all of the ROH boys by himself because he's fucking God or something. William Regal comes out, and here we go. I will say it one more time for the good times. The worst kept secret in NXT dirt sheet history. Says, this is it, this is fine, this is enough, whatever. At TakeOver, we're going to have SAnitY versus the ROH boys versus the team of the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong. And it's so crazy, we have to pull this match out that hasn't been pulled out in 20 years. 3 teams, 2 cages, 1 cell, sorry, I'm tired, leave me alone. It's going to be WARGAMES, and right behind him on screen, the NXT TakeOver Houston logo morphs into an NXT TakeOver WARGAMES logo. Now, I will say, the funny thing about this is the TakeOver logos have progressively gotten cooler and cooler and cooler as time goes on, you know, distinct portions of the city. TakeOver Dallas was the big star for Texas and all that sort of thing. The TakeOver Brooklyn ones usually had like the bling thing around it. When you saw that TakeOver Houston was a super generic block letter logo, even before this came out, you knew it was going to be something. But then they've actually decided to turn it into TakeOver WARGAMES, which is fantastic. I never was a big WCW fan. I've seen a few WARGAMES matches. I like the concept. It's fun. It's cool. And they have confirmed that it is going to be 2 rings. They have everybody from William Regal to Triple H to everybody in between has concluded that it is going to be 2 rings. There's going to be a double ring set up, obviously, for the whole pay-per-view. Now, that's going to be interesting. Excuse me. Because they're going to have to change, excuse me again, the entire layout of the building between TakeOver and Survivor Series, because I doubt they're going to have a dead space where the second ring was for Survivor Series. But here, as good as this is, and it is, I'm looking forward to this match. This match is going to be, you know me, I love the chaotic pile of people matches. I do, and I think this is going to steal, this and the Fatal 4-Way for the women's title are going to steal the weekend, that weekend. Without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm not taking anything away from anybody involved in any of that. I do have to ask one thing, though. The story that has been told for weeks and weeks and weeks is the ROH boys trying to recruit Roderick Strong, the pure Snow White, white bread babyface Roderick Strong, who's got a moral fiber that's absolutely untouchable, that's absolutely unfeatherable. And he will not join the heels. He will not join this invading force, this invading faction, this Nexus 2.0 that the ROH boys are. He will stay to his babyface values and morals, and he will not join the heels. But he will go over here and join these other heels in the Authors of Pain, because they are heels too, which is just fucking crazy. There's no pure babyfaces in this match. The ROH boys are straight up heels. The Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong are at least 2/3 heel. I mean, 3/4 if you want to include Paul Ellering. And SAnitY, as much as we love them, as much as they are not heels, they're not baby faces either. They're fucking crazy. And I love it. And I pray that Nikki Cross is involved in this match somehow. In my perfect world, she wins the women's title, which we all know isn't going to happen, but go with me for a second. She wins the title, breaks into the cage somehow during the main event, and clocks, what's his name? Adam Cole, baby, in the face with the women's championship. Now, the other downside to this, of course, is that we will not be getting a tag team championship match at the pay-per-view, which does sort of fuck with the formula of an NXT TakeOver. NXT TakeOver, the formula forever has been. Now, occasionally they added in a match for the UK Championship because the UK Championship kind of lives in NXT in the attic. But for the most part, NXT TakeOver, you've got an NXT title match, a tag team title match, a women's title match, and 2 other extra matches. Now, obviously this match is going to take a lot of time, which is great, wonderful, fantastic. But it means we've only got 2 title matches, and Drew McIntyre was given Andrade Cien Almas, which is great, but Andrade Cien Almas is a contender that you put in that title shot when you know the title match is not the main event. if the title match was the main event, I gotta believe that the contender would have been Johnny Gargano, and that's just me. Don't let my nitpicking confuse you, though, because I am super looking forward to TakeOver. TakeOver is going to blow Survivor Series out of the water, and I'm not typically one of those guys, and you guys know I laugh at those guys that are like, oh, NXT is better than WWE, because they're all WWE at the end of the day, and I know that, but there are no title matches at Survivor Series, and one of the main events is Brock Lesnar versus Jinder fucking Mahal. So we got the return of WARGAMES, and what I think might be one of the best women's matches of the year, going up against Brock Lesnar and Jinder Mahal. Yeah, anyways, I warned you guys at the beginning of this video that I'm in kind of a fucked up mood, so hopefully this video didn't suck too much. Anyways, this has been my November 1st NXT review, and I, of course, have been Spaz Phoenix, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak like me.